This podcast was produced on the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation.
Welcome to Australia.
Ozzy.
This is kind of tragic.
Someone who is such a connoisseur of reality television.
The content is hideous.
So sorry about this. Oh my God.
Welcome back to The Cringe is Real, the podcast that cringes along with Australian reality TV and pop culture at large. I'm Sam Cremian, and today I am feeding the children with not one but two extra special guests to recap the finale of FBoy Island Australia. And boy, do we have much to discuss. Up first in part one is the Bondi vet and realist housewife of Sydney, Dr. Kate Adams. FBoy Island Australia Season 2 is all available to stream now on Binge. Dr. Kate Adams, welcome to The Cringe is Real.
Hello, Sam. How are you?
I'm so good. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I mean, I just I've been narrating FBoy Island on Instagram. So
I know, I saw you doing that and I was like, I cannot wait to talk in further detail with you about this show because it has just been such a roller coaster.
it really
How
has.
are you feeling now that it's over?
I loved season one. Like, I really loved it. And, it's one of those things, it's a dating show, but it has a twist. And I like the fact that, the women are in charge here. They are like the queens of their castle, and they get to make it what they want to make it. So I was really excited for this season. Obviously, I love Abby, and, the guys from last year I know quite well. So, I really wanted to support these guys. And honestly, after this episode, my honest answer is I feel a little bit underwhelmed. Do you?
Look, totally. And from having a quick scan of the reaction online, it's like very mixed, but it seems like lots of people feel like they were kind of promised this big finale and then it kind of fizzled a bit.
Yeah, so the series was great. It was
Such a
really
good
great.
series.
Such a big hype and so good. And I was like, it's like, getting to the dessert. And I felt like the dessert was like tiramisu, It was a bit not as punchy as I wanted it to be. What was your biggest disappointment?
My biggest disappointment was Joe
Oh,
being so-called nice guy. Like, I was like, sorry, I'm going to need to see a certificate of nice guyness because we didn't see it throughout the show. Like, what was going on with that?
and I felt like it kind of devalued nice guy.
Totally.
Like, I felt like as though all of a sudden, then I thought, oh, like, it's just a label, and actually you're all a bunch of dicks, and it doesn't matter really what your label is. Like, he still got, and the other thing is, it pissed me off, he still got 25k cash.
I know. After behaving like that, it's just like a little bit mind-blowing. Plus, we never got to see what Chad's status was, which does beg the question, did they do a little switcheroo at the end there just to keep Ali happy? I don't know. And look, all the best for those two.
About
Allegedly, they're still together. But,
Give me a call when you figure out he's a total narcissist.
Exactly. Now, I want to know, what have you been up to since we saw you on Real Housewives of Sydney Season 2?
Oh, what have I been up to? I don't know. I've been doing heaps of stuff, actually. I'm currently actually in the process of freezing my eggs, so that was a big deal. But I'm also doing, yeah. So I'm also doing heaps of other stuff. So, I've just been working heaps. I have definitely been exploring some other business ventures, which has been exciting. And, there may or may not be another series. But I don't know. Maybe there's not.
We're all very excited about maybe there being another series.
Maybe.
Is it true that before you were a housewife, you were a fan of the show?
I wasn't a fan of Sydney.
Okay. But of the Housewives
franchise,
girlies.
I loved
Yeah,
Housewives. So I'm an old school Housewives. I always watch New York. I always watch Beverly Hills. So yeah,
Oh,
I don't ever see much point. And Sam, you might think this is lame, and everyone else might think it's lame, but I'm really big on like speaking your truth and being honest. And I don't do this thing of like, oh, I've never heard of Housewives, like, I've never,
hmm,
I didn't even want to be on the show, but they, I'm not into that, right? Like that's not how it worked. And I always say from the very beginning, I wanted to be on the show. I was like, yeah, this is great. I fucking love this
totally.
franchise. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, oh, I was, it's like if someone asks you, like, if you've got a new pair of shoes and you're like, oh, these old things, like just say they're new.
No, and that's why we love you. Like honestly, like I think I speak for all fans when we found that out. It's like, oh, great. Like someone that's not ashamed to be like happy to be playing this role. Like that's what we want. We don't want
yeah,
people there
yeah,
pretending like it's, oh, whoops, I accidentally stumbled on television. It's like, no, you didn't.
yeah. I really wanted to do this, and that's because I really was such a fan of the show. I think since the last season, particularly clients, because a lot of people know me as a vet. They asked like, why would you do this show? It's so different from Bondi Vet, and
Mm,
why would you? And I said, to be honest with you, it was actually I felt like Bondi Vet, really did pigeonhole me into this particular person, and it really is only one part of my personality. And I always had to play what society wanted me to play, which was this nice, bubbly, little vet that like puppies and kittens, and that's what they want to see, the public want to see from female vets. And no one was really interested in the fact that
mhm.
I own the business, and I'm actually like total hard ass. And so I felt like as though, and I do love fashion, I love fashion, and I love you know get about, and so I just felt like as though this was an opportunity to show a different side of me that is okay as well, and I don't have to fit into any box.
Yeah. Were you a fan of the Real Housewives of Melbourne before
Yes,
you went
love
on?
the Real Housewives
Yes.
of
Who,
Melbourne.
who
Yes.
just say hypothetically there was an ultimate girls trip
Hmm.
between the two shows, who would you most be excited to go on
Look,
a
I
girls
I
trip with?
definitely would take with me Jackie. I think that
Awesome.
Jackie,
Shine, shine.
yeah, I feel like Jackie and I, there's a lot that we have in common there. I think she's very real. She's one of those people that, she has really used what her mama gave her, right? And she's like really, embraced the power of like, manifestation and believing in herself and all the stuff that I really believe in order to sort of make something of herself. And she didn't come from any money. I think she was from Newcastle originally. So I love
Yeah.
that. I really love that. I think she's very down to earth. So I definitely would take her. I would probably also take Gina Liano. I don't know how Gina would feel about me, but I would take her for sure.
Oh,
Um,
I reckon you guys would get on quite well.
yeah, I think we'd be okay. I mean, I think, when it comes to two alpha females, when it depends on, the context in which
Hmm.
they meet, whether or not they're actually going to get along. And I think probably in real life, I think that I would quite like Gina.
Oh, totally. And because you're both not afraid to have a
Yeah.
laugh,
Yeah.
have a bit the poke fun at yourself,
Mm.
good time. Yeah, no, you guys
Who
would
do
get
you,
on.
who would you take? Who would you take?
Oh, well, definitely Gina. I love Lydia. Honestly, like, don't make me choose. I would just probably take the whole cast.
Did you like Chica?
Yeah, Cheeks was great. It was
I
a
like
shame
Chica
to
too.
see Chica go, but I liked her as a friend of as well later on
Yeah,
when she came
agree.
back because she throws a good party. So you
She
need an
does.
event planner in
She
the
does.
mix.
And she's really
Yeah.
got class, and she's really I like that about her. You know.
We love Miss Cheeks. So I want to talk to you quickly about the guy that you went on a date with on
Yep.
season 2, the
Yep.
ice baths Joe
Yep.
Rogan guy. Nice guy or F boy?
I don't know that you could actually really classify that into, and a lot of people were very much like, did you get set up on that? And I don't think that it was a setup. Like, I don't think anyone really knew how that was going to turn out. He was a lot shorter than me, so that was bad from the very beginning. But I was like, okay, let's just not be superficial. Let's overlook this and get to know this guy. I think that ice bath situation has kind of I aged quite badly because I'm certainly not against ice baths. I like ice baths, but I feel like ice baths for integrity. I was like, come on, dude, like seriously. There was a
Yeah.
lot of that was cut out there. Looked, honestly, I don't think he certainly didn't drink, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there wasn't some kind of consumption of something.
Something.
Um,
I reckon Joe from this show likes an ice bath or two.
yeah, yeah. So, look, there was a lot there that he was just not my cup of tea, and certainly even just in terms of like, stuff. Like I think that at one point he said that he was a property strategist, and I thought, okay, great, we can talk about property. I can talk about property, and then he then had sort of said, I said, okay, well, tell me about your properties, and he said, well, I don't actually own a property, and I said, what? And then he said, well, I lost my job in COVID. I was a bartender.
You're like, this is going great, mate.
Yeah. So it just wasn't it as and I said it right. Like he's still kind of finding his feet and finding himself, which is not where I'm at.
Mm-mm. Did you have any faves from the boys this season on FBoy? Like, were there any guys that you actually thought were all right?
Jack. I liked Jack. Did you like Jack?
Yeah, look, I definitely think Jack is vanilla, but the way he's lent into that, like that shows a bit of self-awareness, so that's cute.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
he's a real estate
came around
agent,
to
right?
Jack.
Oh, against
Yeah.
real
Oh,
estate.
is he?
Yeah.
I thought they said he was a brewer.
No, I think that sounds like a too
Which I was
interesting
like,
job for him.
yeah.
He's definitely a real
I
estate agent,
agree.
right? And having dated real estate agents, I come from a place of knowledge here, and I that there's a certain type of person that's a real estate agent, and that is Jack.
That is correct. Yeah.
And who else? But I really liked him nonetheless. Who else did I really like? I didn't mind Patty.
Yeah.
I didn't dislike Patty. Who else was there? I quite liked Dougie.
Yeah.
Sweet
Oh,
Dougie.
poor Doug. So I don't know if you were following along, but there were definitely a lot of like Doug conspiracy theories throughout the season. People thinking he was playing a character the whole time. And I even got convinced towards the end.
Did
I was
you?
like, Doug is putting on a show. And then when he was his face when he revealed he was a nice guy, I was like seriously in shock.
I mean, I thought he was a nice guy. I don't think you can put on that. Like, I don't think you can put on that amount of niceness. Who was the guy last time that admitted? Who was Jerome? Oh my God.
Oh,
Abby was
friend of the
disappointed.
pod,
She was like,
Jerome.
Jerome, you bad boy. And she was like, Jerome.
Yeah.
Why would you spend $50,000? And you know what was redeeming about him? He said his dog.
Yeah, that's very cute. I think Jerome got a rough edit. I don't know. I thought he was quite fun.
Jerome.
And I think if he had his time again, yeah, put him back on as a nice guy, I reckon. We'll see how we go with that.
And to be fair, actually, I quite liked, he was just him, and he was, unashamedly him, which was very honourable. And I feel like, that definitely should be applauded more. Rather than trying to be someone else. So it actually made him more attractive.
Yeah, totally.
It was like all of a sudden this like kind of kid that didn't really suit everybody else. All of a sudden, actually, you were like, actually, Jerome, could you be shagging?
All right.
Baby.
Oh, definitely. What about the girlies? Who was your fave of our three girls?
Crystal, for sure. How about you?
Easily Crystal. I'm so glad she was there. She just brought such a confidence and like just energy that we needed, that really embodied like the whole vibe of the show.
Total sass. Really liked her.
Nicole grew on me.
I felt like actually Nicole, for me, went backwards. And I'll tell you this because, what I disliked is, who was the guy that she made the deal with? What was his name? Nathan. Okay. So she makes this deal with Nathan that says he'll take 25 grand, she takes 25 grand, and then she doesn't have to choose between Jack and Sean, and then there's a guaranteed amount of money. Now, I feel like as though the fact that he even suggested that deal said to everybody that he was going to screw her over on that deal, right?
100%. He was not ever going to split that money. Because, like, why
He
would
wasn't
he?
going to split the
He's
money,
never going to see
right?
her again either way.
100%.
Yeah.
And why would you put your trust in someone that's then trying to make a deal with you over money?
Yeah.
So then she gets rid of Sean, which I felt like no, why would you get rid of Sean? Because actually now you're playing with somebody who you know is going to screw you over that is an F-boy and someone who you don't know. You may as well be just playing with two people that you don't know.
True. Yeah,
Your
the
odds are
fact
better.
yeah, she shouldn't have entertained that deal. It was
She should
never going
have
to
gotten
work
rid of
out
him. And
well.
he actually wasn't that helpful.
No, he was not helpful. He promised, he like talked big. He's like, I'm going to be this mole. I'm going to gather information from the villa. And like, what did he revealed nothing.
No, that was like, it was like, dude, where, like, you got to, what are you doing with this? So I just don't think he was that useful. So for me, I kind of felt like, Nicole, think this through. Like, this is a game of chess. Think it through to the end. And when you think about that at the end, you don't want to be left with Sean. I mean, no, wait, what was his name?
Jack. No,
Guy?
Nathan.
No, the other guy. Nathan. You don't
Frankie
want to
Grande,
be left with Nathan.
yeah.
He's going to screw you over. Who is your favorite boy?
Like, who would I most like?
Who would you?
I mean, I thought Sean was quite cute.
Oh.
And then this episode, I was a bit like,
Is it the
I
mullet?
don't know. Yeah, look, the tradie vibe was definitely doing something to me. But he's so young. Like, he's got a lot of like growing to do. Yeah, I loved Jerome. Like, give me a larrikin any day that doesn't wax their chest. Like, I'm into that. I'm into a bear.
Yes. Okay, Jerome. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, Nicole also. She's very pretty. That was. I think she definitely brought that to the show. And she, as you said, she was. By the end of it, I felt very invested in her because of the fact that I think she'd been a really good friend to Ali. She
Yeah.
had really gone in there and she had tried her hardest to actually expose, what was actually going on with Ali's boys. And, I felt like Alex, she kind of did the dirty on her a little bit and didn't listen to her.
Poor Ali. I mean, should we talk about her? Like, what do you think went wrong with Ali? Like, I feel like she wasn't ready to be on telly.
It was a complete car crash. And I heard a lot of things. You would have also, like back in those early episodes, there was a lot of talk about, Joe being a total dickhead because of the fact that he'd come out and said that he likes Nicole. And everyone was like, what an asshole, yada, yada. And I felt like, really, this is on her. This is on her. He was, in my book, he was on that. He was very honest. He even said, like, he didn't want to even hang out with Ali because he had eyes for Nicole.
True.
And then when he was truthful about that and said, I don't like you, she cried. And then was like, what a dickhead, what a dickhead. I was like, you took him on a date. He said that you're his second choice. That is truth, right? And you can't blame men, and I say men, you can't blame men for telling the truth because that's what you ask of them.
Totally.
And if Ali can't hear that and isn't prepared to be grown up enough to say, I am not listening to this man who doesn't want me, and not have the dignity to just say, you know what, that's not for me, then that's on her. And look, they're together, sure. But
how long do we reckon that'll last?
Oh, mate, how many nights do you think that she has fallen asleep and thought to herself, I'm the second choice, I'm the second choice?
Yeah, true. But maybe she loves that. Maybe that's her kink. Like, maybe she likes to feel like she got the guy that someone else didn't get. I don't know. I just feel like everyone turned on Ellie. Like, I feel like the guys started turning on Ellie because she wasn't giving anyone else even a chat, let alone a date. So of course they were getting pissed off. And then I feel like production turned on Ali a bit. They weren't
Yeah.
really going out of their way to make her look good, which this show is all about the girls being in control. But I felt like they kind of had no choice.
It's like she got this amazing opportunity and she just threw it to the wolves. Like, I just thought, wow, this show for me has always embodied female empowerment, right? It is the one show where I feel like, it's unlike The Bachelor and all of that kind of stuff where, there's girls fighting over dudes. Like, there's the one show where she could have had her power back and she fucking gave it away on a platter. And I go, wow, what a disappointment. And I feel like as though that for me was probably the biggest disappointment, as you said, of the show. It's not really about Joe for me. It was actually about how I felt about Ali. And she responded to her fellow castmates with hostility, especially when Nicole says he was totally flirting with me. She didn't want to listen to it. She didn't take it on board. And then she kind of at the end was a little bit angry, don't you think?
Yeah, it's almost like, and in that final moment when her and Joe were like making out behind the back of the house, and it was kind of quite awkward and ominous, and Chad was like, I'm out. Like, and then when she got so mad at Chad, I was like, come on, girl. Like, he's just being real right now. Like, he knows he's got no chance because you've not even like offered that even like slight inkling that it could ever work. And I think everyone just kind of was like, we know what you're doing here. You've had tunnel vision since day one, so yeah, have fun.
And look, I think that Chad, in retrospect, I feel like he made the right decision in that moment, and I'm really glad that he did keep his dignity and just saying, you know what, Ali, fuck you, mate. Like, you're not going to choose me. You're not going to, I'm not going to stand up in front of everyone to not be chosen when I know that you're going to do that. And he got his moment. He got his like weird little Saltburn kind of like bum moment at the end, which I
The
felt like
Saltburn
was
bit
great.
was cute. Like, I actually quite
was.
liked that. But yeah, and it was very much the show telling us that Chad is much loved. And the fact that none of the boys had anything bad to say about Chad in the mansplain.
Nothing.
He was the only one that got away scot-free, which tells me that, like, kind of like Nick last season, where all the boys were just like in love with Nick because he's such a nice guy. Like, I would have taken that info and been like, oh, that means something, but she didn't want to hear it.
No, 100%. And, I think that was already a done deal. And, the irony of the end, then having it so that the only person that she could choose was Joe. So, that was sad, really. And then I felt like, okay, great, they're still happy. And I think everyone is, feels uncomfortable about that. And, it was the first thing that I read this morning was, how does the other cast members feel about Joe and Ali still being together? And they were both very supportive. Well, I'm glad she's happy, right? And I think that's all you can really say in these circumstances, can't you? Because you just think, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good on you, second choice.
At the mansplain, Jack was in the hot seat first, and he kind of copped it from Frank, who said, look, you knew about me, and then like you didn't tell anyone, which I was a bit like, hang on, what is going on here? But he didn't fire back very well. He was clearly quite agitated, and Nicole wasn't thrilled. How did you feel about that? Like, do you think it was his responsibility to like tell Nicole or the other girls that like Frank was an F-boy? I kind of feel like that breaks the rules a bit.
I think that it was very obvious that Frank was an F-boy. Like, as in,
well, that
Captain
too.
Obvious have seen that? Like, really? Like, if you couldn't have figured that one out, that was like easy. Low-hanging fruit there. But then at the same time is, I know that Nicole was obviously very much looking for somebody that was not, what she sort of termed aggressive, I guess, was how she'd put it earlier in the season. And she doesn't want, I guess, like a man she sees any aggression from. But for me, and that moment, I saw Jack being a little aggressive. So I was like, okay, there we go. There is But in all
Yeah.
fairness, I would have been that way. I would have also defended myself to the hilt and said, no, like, screw you guys. I
Hmm.
didn't, like, you know what? This is unfairly being put on me. So, I felt for Jack in that moment because I think he reacted as I probably would have.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Jack like react to something besides just being gorgeous and lovely. Like we
Hmm.
want a bit of
He
texture.
is gorgeous though, isn't he? He is gorgeous.
Oh my
Like,
god, it's
oh,
ridiculous.
Jack without a shirt on, like,
Yeah.
geez.
Well, luckily we got that
Mm,
for the whole season because he didn't have a shirt.
he really didn't. I don't think he owned a jacket.
I think they made him wear one at the finale. Which I was like, no.
How about the horrible man, which I'm really glad that they didn't give too much airtime to, but that horrible person that said like Ali and Crystal shouldn't be on television because they're not pretty enough or whatever.
Oh my god. So what even was that bit? We were like so confused. Because firstly, it was Vincent. He firstly outed himself for
Mm-hmm.
saying
To out
horrible
Dougie.
misogynistic things on TV, which like didn't make the edit. So I'm like, mate, you could have gotten away with this whole show without anyone ever knowing that you said that. And then to implicate Doug in it. And then again, this was when I was like, oh, we're on to Doug. Something's got to give. He's too perfect otherwise with this whole cutesiness. But no, it was actually just Vincent outing himself as a total dick.
100%. And I was like, wow, way to show yourself as somebody that really only looks at looks. Like those
Mm.
days are over. I'm sorry, Mr. 2009.
But like they're all gorgeous. Like I don't even need to say that. It's just ridiculous that he would even. Yeah, I
I
guess
was
men
like, yeah,
get.
mate.
Mm,
Yeah, like, is there any concept of the fact that women have personalities?
exactly. Also, this show isn't about you, mate. It's about them, and you
Exactly.
didn't last long.
Yeah.
So yeah. I think the producers must gas them up a bit and be like, hey, like if you want to get some more screen time, like say some spicy stuff or something. Who knows?
I don't know. I mean, I think actually often it's the cast because we're
Hmm.
often asked that. Like, I'm often
Oh
asked, oh,
yeah.
this is stuff. It's so scripted. Isn't Housewives really scripted? And I'm like, no, no, we really are that
Nope.
crazy.
Yeah. There you go.
And I say that me included because sometimes I look around the room and think you guys are all nuts. But I always say, if you look around the room and you're surrounded by people who are nuts, and you're also in that crew, you have to look at yourself and think, ah, shit, my.
The other thing that came up at the mansplain was rumors that Patty had been flirting with the crew, specifically like a social media girl, which I was like, okay, tell me more. I could
Yeah.
totally see that happening.
And I think that Paddy, in his defense, like I see that, what do you want from your man? Like, do you want someone who's like absolutely perfect? Like, no, you
Mm.
want them to be fun. Like, I wouldn't, say, and I think Crystal, in fact, would be actually quite flirtatious
Oh,
in certain
totally.
circumstances.
Yeah, yeah.
Like she's got razzle dazzle, as does Patty. And he was like basically like, if this crosses your boundaries, maybe we need to sort of rein it in there. And I thought, like I don't think you should really put unless someone's doing something actively wrong in
Mm-mm.
cheating on somebody else or whatever, being
Yeah.
flirtatious, good on him.
And at that
Continue
point,
to
they're
be
not
flirtatious, Patty.
exclusive
We
or
like it.
anything. Yeah, I thought that was a bit of a long
What's a bit
shot.
of flirting? And you know what?
Yeah.
You can't expect that just because you're in a relationship and married that you're never going to flirt with anyone. Like, I'm sorry, just so we all are aware, if I ever get married, there will be a lot of flirting still happening. That doesn't mean cheating or whatever. It means, you don't lose your sparkle just because you're in a relationship.
So apparently they're not together anymore,
I
Crystal
know.
and Patty, which
Yeah.
makes sense, I
Same.
think. I think Crystal is like so awesome and like she doesn't need to be with someone just cause. Like I think she's such a
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah. I also think that really, in retrospect, she probably, or they both probably should have thought that through a bit. Like, he's from Adelaide, and I know that's not the point of the show, but I would have behind the scenes. He's from Adelaide, she's from the Gold Coast. And I think before you, say yes to people, that you do kind of have to think about, I always say a bird and a fish fell in love, but where will they live?
Yeah, nice one.
And you do have to consider, is someone going to move to Adelaide? Like, I wouldn't move to Adelaide, and then Radelaide, and then there's and then like also the Gold Coast. Like, who wants to live
I wouldn't
there?
want to live there either. Yeah, I'd probably prefer Adelaide over the Gold Coast, I reckon. But
Oh God, that's
it's a tough
it's
choice.
a tough choice.
Oh man. Who's up next? Then Joe is in the hot seat at the mansplain, and Frank starts about the Instagram. He's like, "There's nothing on your Instagram," and then we get this weird thing about his ex, who may or may not be an ex or like a new girl, and there's a dog. There's like photos of a dog being sent, and the whole thing is like so. My BS radar was just like going
Yeah.
crazy.
And it makes no sense. Like, I lost my phone, and the whole thing makes absolutely no sense at all. But in saying that, Joe has this way, don't get me wrong, I dislike Joe. Like, let's just make that very clear. I did have disliked him from the beginning. But there's some things about Joe that actually, a little bit probably like some other men that we know. But he does this thing where you notice how he's so confident in his response. Like, his face literally is completely pokered. He does not say or even flicker when he's telling a lie. Like, he says, "No, I lost my phone," and he says it with such conviction that it's almost like as though no one actually can call him out in that moment and say, "Well, that's a load of shit." Everyone just goes, "Oh, okay."
Totally. He's got an intimidating
Mm,
presence,
yeah,
almost like someone that's been in the military or something. Like, he's got this like stern
yeah,
coldness,
yeah,
which like unflappable, which people like that terrify me because
yeah.
I'm just
Because
like
they're
such a
called
ball of energy.
narcissistic.
Yeah.
It's called complete narcissism, is what it's called. And as
I
much
mean,
as
I'm not
that,
a psychologist, but
right? Or like, what do they call it? Like being a psychopath, sociopath.
well, yeah, because he's just got nothing. It's like dead behind the eyes. And then he was so good at playing her the whole time, even though, he's a nice guy, whatever. I still maintain that he's no good and he was not a prize. Like, I wouldn't want to take that home. Um, but he did a great job of just shutting her down, making her feel like to the point where she was defending him. Even in this mansplain, she's like, "Are you all right?" to him. I'm like, "He's
Yeah.
fine. Why are you asking him that?"
And I mean, I even think like post show, because there's probably like so many people that have been like against them, it also probably means that she's probably holding on to this for like till the end of
True.
time, because of the fact that she doesn't want to look like she failed. Oh my gosh.
Now they're out there in the world being together. I can only imagine how many people must be coming up to her being like if he's no good for you kind of thing, because we've all just seen the show now, so that's going to be tough for them.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know, like, it's funny you should say that, because I don't really know if, like, people do come up to you and say things, and sometimes you think like mid, like, fork in mouth type thing, and you're like, ah. And like sometimes I've been on a date and people approach me and say like, "Are you on a date?" And I'm like, "Okay, yeah,
You're like,
I,
yeah.
I am. You're ruining it right now. Like, please get lost." Or like, "How about that guy you're on a date with?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on a new date now." So I do think that sometimes the story is often a lot bigger than what necessarily that you do see on camera. So,
Yeah,
I'm not sure that I would have the balls to actually go up to her and say, "Hey, bro, that
true. But
wasn't
like
great. That wasn't the funnest moment."
her friends and stuff that have seen the show and her family are going to be like,
Oh,
oh,
ooh, ooh,
not so
cringe,
good.
cringe,
Cringe, cringe,
cringe, cringe.
cringe. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So look, I don't know. I feel like the cringiest thing of this series was that, which is sad that that kind of took such a center stage.
Mm,
Um, and I think that particularly at the end, I was so excited about that episode, and really the only thing that happened that was any real big thing that happened in that final episode was the fact that Sean comes back to Nicole and says, I'm laying on the line again,
What did you think about that?
in which she booted him a second time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't
Poor
know how I felt
Sean.
about that. I felt like, you know what, brave. That was brave of Sean, I think. But also I thought this is against the rules. Like,
Well, and then Abby was like, oh yeah, if you want to pick Sean, you can pick Sean. And I'm like, no, you can't.
and also
He's gone. And
he's a non-F boy. Like he's not even an F boy. So she would know that's 100%, but then she would be able to split the
yeah.
money. So Sean was the safe bet. And the fact that she didn't then choose Sean.
Yeah, which meant double kick in the guts for Sean, hey?
That was like, she didn't even, like, she went with the wild card. That was, yeah. But, you know, I hope Sean finds someone lovely. He deserves it, as does Dougie. Dougie also deserves to find someone lovely.
How did you feel about Caleb? They kind of neatly tied off the storyline between Crystal and Caleb. They had a little moment at the bar, because I thought maybe he was going to come into the mix at the end as well.
I thought the same thing. I thought there was going to be something there, but it was in a very abrupt shoelace tie, wasn't it? It was like...
it was like, see ya. Yeah. Well, Dr. Kate, thank you so much for joining me to talk. Thanks again, babe. I'll see you later. Thank you for listening to The Cringe is Real with me, Sam Cremian. If you would like to support the show, rate, review, share, and tell your friends about it. You can also find me on Instagram and Twitter. Links are in the show notes.